Everybody settled in? Continue. Borough Attorney, Mr. Anand, any report this evening?
Not really, Mayor. We've got one ordinance I talked about the last time for public hearing and second reading, and then we have the two that you're introducing that I prepared. There's three ordinances that I prepared too. If anybody has any questions about them, I'll try to answer them, but they're pretty much self-explanatory, and I believe we talked about them all at the last meeting, so I don't think there's anything else that I need to tell you about.
Any questions for Mr. Bernard? Okay. Ms. Ariella, you have anything for us?
Yes, I do. I have, okay, I sent you guys a memo in your council mail. I updated you on the recycling. I got the quote from Equipment Rental Services. It was all in the memo. So if you all want to discuss it or whatever you want to do, just give me direction if you want me to pass a resolution awarding this or whatever. And then I also have, I confirmed students in government this Tuesday, May 5th. And, you know, we don't do students in government, we do it just a mock. So it'll be the, like a spin-off of the April 28th agenda, but we'll take a whole budget here in office. You know, that's not really.
I don't think they'll enjoy it.
Much for the students.
Yeah, and it'll just be a mock agenda, so it'll have your reports from that agenda for the children, so you don't have to make another report. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, or Tina, then, do you want to discuss the recycling that was sent to us tonight? Would you like direction tonight, or not?
I'd like to wrap this part of it up, then I would further, you know, soon I'm gonna come back to you and talk about what we're gonna do in the future, but I don't have to do that tonight. But this, I'd like to,
Right.
You'd like to?
if you're so inclined.
This takes care of the last 6 months, it's below the threshold, it's the only one below the threshold, correct?
Well, I only got the two, and I
Right.
wouldn't know, yeah,
Well, the other one's way above.
way above.
Double the price.
So, I mean, unless someone has, now, do we know anything about this company?
Yes, this is Great Northern.
Oh, it is Great Northern.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
spin-off of-
Because that's not the name.
No, it's his name, his son's company, but he's the one that took our ball,
Yes.
so it's the same company, same John Pilato was the same,
All right.
personnel.
I don't know who equipment rental is. All right, if it's Great Northern, I mean, I don't see a reason not to go for it.
Personally, I think it does the main goal, which gets us off of this wacky schedule that stops at July 1st in the middle of the year. This way here, at least, we'll be taken care of for 2015, and we can start fresh for 2016 and let the public know about it in the December garbage schedule that goes out, so.
Did Great Northern know what the other bid was from me, waste management?
Mhm.
No. And at the end of the 6 months, is our intention to rebid the entire recycling contract?
It may or may not be, depending on additional information that's determined, or additional information that we get as the Streets and Roads Committee, and see how soon we can maybe act on the change. And we may have to bid it 1 year, 2 years, depends, or not at all, depending.
Okay, because I just feel like we're going backwards. I know, I think Lou was the only one who was here at that time, who voted against it. But when we put this out for bid the last time, against a lot of pressure, we got waste management in, and we saved the borough a lot of money. And I feel now we're going back to the incumbent that we got rid of, and we're now, maybe we're gonna bid it out, maybe not. I feel like we're going ahead and going backwards. I really would wish that we could just re-up this for another year and then bid it out when it comes up, unless there's some other type of proposal. I don't know why we have to get this back on the calendar year. And we're gonna have to go ahead and issue something anyway, right? If this Great Northern comes in, we're gonna have to issue some type of notice to the public, right?
No. This is in line with our current schedule.
It was in line with the current schedule, so, but are they gonna change anything from waste management?
No. 2015, nothing changed.
Okay, I don't know, I just wanna go on record, I'm totally against this, it's a step backwards. We did a lot of work to get waste management in here, they saved us a lot of money, and now we're going back to the prior incumbent, and we don't know where this is going. And I just fear that we're going ahead and going to some favorite providers and doing a disservice to the borough.
Well, first of all, Waste Management has come in at double the price of this company to extend for 6 months, so I don't see any favoritism, why we should have any
Because we're varying the
favoritism.
contract. Double the price for what? We told, we have a contract with them.
Same contract.
No, we saying to them, do it for 6 months. We could re-up in 1 year increments. We're saying we want to do it for 6 months. They're saying, no, we're holding you to the written contract.
No, they're saying, we'll do 6 months, but for $30,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have another company that'll do it for 16. I don't see why we wouldn't do that.
And how much would it
Plus-
cost to do it for a full year with Waste Management?
But that defeats the purpose, we're trying
Right.
to get off.
Okay, but what's the answer to the question? How much does it cost to do it for a full year with Waste Management? How much is this costing us?
It would have been like, probably, I think, I didn't bring my phone, I apologize, but it was about 1.5% more than what you're paying right now. Oh, for a year, you have to go to July 1/16.
If they perform.
Right,
That's the other
well, that's the other thing, is that I think they're gonna be resistant to it, because the email I got from him, that doubled
They
the
were
price.
refusing to do it.
For
Right.
6 months.
No, well, they didn't want to do
They
it.
have to do it for a year.
We could probably make them, but I also said to you, Bob, that it wasn't in the contract, so I don't know if that's gonna be something that would cost us, for you to write letters and, because it wasn't a bid spec, but the attorney didn't put it in the contract. And when you did the contract, it was in the contract.
And I did, I mean, I know I wasn't only in the audience back then, but I did support us going out for bid the last time when we got Waste Management, which I remember you
Well,
promoted
wait a
from the
minute.
dais.
Let me make this clear. This,
Right.
there wasn't anything special about getting either one. I don't want to be part of the debate, but this contract has been bid every 3 years for at least, how many times, Tina? 5, 6? I mean, it's like any other contract for services. It's bid every 3 years. or
Mr. Renard,
whatever.
with all due respect, you weren't there.
Well, no, I wasn't.
Basically, what happened was, and I can tell you what happened, because you weren't there.
Okay.
Is that we were put under, as council people, a lot of pressure internally to go ahead and re-up the Great Northern contract without going out for bid. Okay, and I.
Oh, you mean to extend it?
To extend it.
For a year.
Okay,
That
it was
you-
dropped on us in the 11th hour.
Okay.
And we were also put under a lot of pressure internally. And I and some of my Democratic council counterparts received some phone calls saying, hey, do this, do this, do this. And basically, I and one of my counterparts who's no longer here said, if you don't bid this out, we're gonna make a scene. That's how we got it bid out. That's how we saved the borough money. Now we're going back to that person who just wait. And I wanna make sure that everyone understands this. We go back to that incumbent. Let's see what pressure comes on us to renew this contract with Great Northern.
Well, you can't renew the contract.
First of all, there is no contract with Great Northern.
Yeah.
Second, when we went out for bid, as you talked about, Great Northern's bid was pennies away from Waste Management's bid, not a lot of money. It was just pennies. They were off by pennies.
They put in an invalid bid under a shell.
That was
company's
Waste
name.
Management's bid that was invalid.
They
The
put
attorney
in
didn't
an
declare it invalid.
invalid bid.
I'm sorry, but.
What I'm trying to say is there were shenanigans.
Okay, let's not stay on those conversations, please.
I want the record to reflect that Waste Management was the one that submitted the bid, that didn't follow the bid specifications, and the attorney gave them, said it was okay. They could have been rejected because they didn't submit properly. They submitted by the month. It was supposed to be submitted by the year. But the attorney said that the intent was okay, and he let us award. But the two bids came in, they were only a few dollars off. That's it. And I want the record also to reflect, and I'm not trying to stick up for Great Northern because it doesn't really matter, but service-wise, when we had their contract versus Waste Management, we had so many more problems with Waste Management and so many more complaints than we have with Great Northern. It's just, if I kept a record, it would just shock you. If you could disqualify Waste Management, it's somewhat applicable.
I'm just saying, there are some advocates within this administration for Great
He
Northern.
means me, and he, I don't know what you're implying, Councilman, but I'm telling you people the truth, the facts. There's no improprieties. Great Northern is a better company and provides you with a better service. I would be lying if I told you otherwise.
What I
That's
don't
it.
understand here is we have something in front of us that we all agreed to do here, to try to get a 6-month recycling contract, okay? There's a saving here of $11,678. and it's not turning into what it is. We're trying to get on a calendar year here. This is what this is. It's a 6-month contract, no extensions, nothing else. Why are we even getting into this? And why are we
The county
rehashing
is inclined
something?
to some
from
authority,
years
and
ago?
it's on the record.
Because we're worried about corruption,
On the
that's
record.
why, because we're worried about corruption.
Well, the bottom,
You're worried about corruption, but you bringing this up.
Yeah, oh yeah, well, why? What's wrong with bringing it up, Lou? I'm trying to protect the borough from corruption. What's the problem with
Where's
that?
your proof about corruption?
All right, Ms. Cunningham
This is
now.
my job to report the facts to you, all of you.
the bottom line is this, at the end of this year, we make a determination of what we want to do. We would have to go out for bid at the end of this year. Going out for bid is fair and open. We'll see what the bids come in at that point. I've mentioned the recycling contract in prior streets and roads reports. We need to look into how we do our recycling. Other towns do it in a different way, and there may be some real cost savings there that we need to explore. Therefore, this gives us that 6 months to do that without re-upping for another full year. We don't really need that. Gets us off the calendar year, and the bottom line is, at the end of this year, we'll go out for bid, and we will get bids from multiple sources and see who comes in at the best price.
Okay, now, something important here needs to be said. The Councilman Matthew, you're making some pretty heavy allegations here about corruption. What I would like to say, Councilman Matthew, are you listening to me? Apparently you are. I would like to see something in writing from you detailing exactly what you're talking about, because these allegations that you're making, apparently against our borough clerk, are not appropriate, especially in a meeting like this.
I didn't mention any parties, Councilman Martin.
Okay? Give us in writing exactly what you're talking about here, so we're all clear on what you mean.
Okay,
Okay.
that being said, what is the consensus of the council? Should we move forward with the 6-month contract or not?
No.
We heard from one councilman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
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 Okay, so
Yes.
take the appropriate action. Ms. Ariemo, on this. Anything else? Move on. Unfinished business? Any new business? I have a small report this evening. On Monday, March 23rd, 2015, since many residents have expressed their concern to me about parking situations around the school property, I had a meeting with the school superintendent. Dr. Quigley said she would send out a reminder in Friday's packet to all the school families to reinforce the drop-off and pickup regulations. We also talked about the YMCA bus park on 2nd Avenue that's also causing parking issues. This Friday, March 27, 2015, the Borough Administrator and I will be meeting with Samantha Steinberg, the Regional Director of the Office of the Governor. We'll be expressing our concerns and the needs of our borough at the state level. On Tuesday, March 31st, Council President Nierstedt, Planning Board Chairman Steve Reed, and Vice Chair Kathy Bellagio are going to meet with the Union County Strategic Planning and Intergovernmental Relations Department. We'll be discussing the economic response team for Union County. I'd like to thank Councilwoman for joining me last Mayor Saturday. We had 3 residents who visit and talk to us about various concerns they had about Garwood. These comments were heard and possible solutions are in the works to resolve these concerns. I'm extremely pleased that the residents are taking advantage of the mayor and council accessibility and contacting us when they have comments, questions, concerns. That they know that we're here and they're responding to us. That's all for my report. Continue on. We'll continue on. Thank you. Comments of matters of discussion with the council. Councilman Martin.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Matthew.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Petroselli.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tarantino.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say about having Mayor Saturday with you. It was also very nice to see that there were a few residents that did come in and ask some questions about the borough. I mean, legitimate questions and concerns that they had, a few issues that we would not have known about if they didn't come in. And we took the list and we divvied it up. You're handling a few issues, I'm handling a few issues. So Also, Councilman Neerstead and I had a little outing today, but he's gonna cover that in his report, so I won't talk about that. No, I'm sorry, not today, this week, I should have said, and that's all.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Go right
May I
ahead.
just go out of order for 1 second?
Go right ahead, Councilman.
I agree with, Councilman here just gave that report, and I think that, it was also very valuable when you learned it. And I would just like us to try and think about a way to publicize this more, for more residents to come, because I think it's a wonderful thing for them to be able to sit with council and you, and,
I just need that. I know we're on the bulletin board already, I know it's
Sure.
on the borough website, and I'll try to reinforce it once again in our Garwood Gazette.
Councilwoman Tarantino is absolutely right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very well.
Okay, we'll continue on then. Councilwoman Tedesco?
Thank you, Mayor. Just 2 items. One is I brought it up at the last council meeting for the council to take a look at that resolution that was done in Tinton Falls, supporting, recognizing, and honoring the service of law enforcement officers. So I was wondering if we got a chance to look at that, and if we support putting on a similar resolution.
I could support that, yes.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I wasn't 100% with all the wording in there. I'll discuss that with you separately if I may.
Okay, sure, since I brought it up, if you want
Right.
to share concerns, and then perhaps I'll even come up with a new draft and
Sure.
get it to the rest of the council.
Okay. Anyone else have some comments on that?
And Mayor, I just had one other item that, I know we've been discussing road programs and looking a little more long-term if possible, although we have heard from the borough engineer about this. It's something that I'd like Streets and Roads to take a look at in a deeper manner, something that Council President Neerstead started when he got us all those maps that showed the year and what work was done on every single road in the town. And I think this is something that Streets and Roads can look at with the help of our engineer for 2015.
Very good, thank you very
Thank you.
much. Council President Neerstead?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 2 items. As Councilwoman Tarantino indicated yesterday, she and I were privileged to meet and introduce United States Senator Robert Menendez at the Garwood National Pen Company at 520 South Avenue. The senator was there to introduce new legislation aimed at encouraging American goods, American manufacturers, and American veterans in small and mid-sized businesses. While subsequent news articles spoke only of the senator's current financial issues, Councilwoman Tarantino and I welcomed him to Garwood on behalf of its residents and thanked him for highlighting our local 3-generation American-owned business. It was disappointing to see the article and not really mention the business at all. The business is actually, as I indicated, three generations, American products, American-made, American workers, and disappointing not to have more in the paper about that. But I believe, I don't know if anybody else remembers, when was the last time we had a United States Senator here? So glad that Councilman Tarantino and I were able to meet him there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I heard it on the radio, they mentioned Garwood on the radio, and what was it about? It was about the coming indictment. I just think with, as a Republican myself, I just want to say, I think what's being done to Senator Menendez is absolutely scandalous. And I think the leaks from the prosecutor, picture of that, if you were in his place, and there's a prosecutor going ahead leaking information about charges coming against you, that you can't defend yourself against. I think it's disgraceful what's happening to Senator Menendez, and he should be tried in court of law, not on the radio.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, he was quoted in the paper on very quick, he says, "I'm glad to see we have such great interest in the American Star program," which
Right.
is the name of his proposal, because there were 20 cameras and
Right.
20 reporters, and I think they asked one question about the legislation. Second thing and final, Mr. Mayor, is April coming up, both Earth and Arbor Days are celebrated in April, this year on April 22nd and 24th respectively. I am working with a couple of local groups to have at least one borough event held on one of those days, and I will keep you posted. That's it for my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
I dropped you
What happened?
something. It was
I'm
over there.
sorry. Was it on?
It's in my pile. It's got the trees.
Oh, the seedlings? No?
April.
Oh, you want to mention that? I thought that was connected to our business. I,
Is it in this? We can always mention it later on.
No, it's just, you know, a council meeting before.
You're talking about April 11th. To be honest with you, I figured since that was Garwood baseball event, that would come under recreation. I didn't think that was correct.
Well, me and you were there.
Yes. Without the report, I can state that,
It's here, so let's just look for it.
well, the clerk has put in a tremendous amount of work in getting about 200 seedlings from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And on April 11th, at the Garwood Parade, the Garwood Baseball League Day, we'll be giving those out to residents. You don't mean this, do you?
No, it's my best friend.
I don't remember seeing it. Is there anything else I did not say about it?
Keep it.
I will say, Borough Clerk has done a tremendous amount of work. These trees used to be 1 foot in size, and this year they're giving out trees that are 2 to 3 foot. And so the borough is actually going to take about 50 of them, and
200.
the borough itself is going to take about 50 of them and plant them appropriately, and the others we will be giving out to those who promise that they'll take care of them. Did I miss anything?
Probably about another 100 words,
words?
but.
Thank you,
Anything
Mr.
else on the regular meeting?
Sure.
Final report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, sign in, state your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please step forward. Sign in, please, sir.
John Cassoni at 212 Walnut Street. And I don't know if this is the right time, but I just want to ask about parking on Walnut Street. We have the commuters that are taking up spots, and they're there from 12 hours. And many times, they may be on a business trip or something. These are people that go into New York, and you can't even park in front of your own house or anywhere near there. And there are signs on Walnut Street from North Avenue to 2nd Avenue that say 1 hour parking from 7 to 7. That it would be ideal to have those signs continue, especially between 2nd and 3rd, except for residents that would have a sticker or something to show that they're a resident. And what this would do, not only would it help homeowners, okay, but it would also help parents. I know you mentioned earlier some problem with parents dropping off their children.
Yes.
I'm not totally familiar with that
That's the drop
particular.
off and pickup zones where they're allowed to pick up and drop boys.
Right.
Within a certain time period, but there seems to be some lingering around there. So I did speak to Dr. Quigley about that.
Yeah, many times they're actually blocking my driveway, and they're just dropping off a child. Usually it's not a problem, but when it is, I seek them out to move their car. But they're usually only there like, whatever, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you have these signs that were similar to there's 2 signs, I believe, between North and 2nd. So the same type of sign. Okay, first of all, it would give parents places to park their car, to drop off their children. It wouldn't be blocking the driveway, but especially 2. I mean, I only have 1 car, but my neighbor has 2, and he has to play games with his, he has to play switchy with the cars. That if the car that they have to take out is there are 2 cars in the driveway, and they'll have to back 1 car out to be able to get the other car out and so on, that type of thing. So they'd be able to park in front of their own house, which they can't do at present. So I don't know how I would go about, here I am, on how to ask about these signs, what's required to get those in.
Oh, Renee.
Hi, Mr. Cassani. Last year, we created a parking committee, and we've been working on an ordinance that we're going to put up for introduction next week. And as a resident of, are you a resident of
Walnut Street.
Walnut Street?
Right across from the school.
You'll be notified to attend a meeting that we're going to be talking about this resolution that we're going to be putting up for introduction, which would be residential permit parking. So the commuters will no longer, if it should pass, the commuters will not be able to park on a number of streets that we would be closing off to permit parking only. And as a resident of the street, you would get a permit for 3 or more cars that you should own, so that you would have access to park on that street, but only residents of the street. And any non-residents would have only be able to park for 2 hours, so there would have to be signs put up.
Okay, that'd be ideal.
So that
Plus,
would
we
be
have
commuters.
commuters that we could get some kind of, I don't think we have that much parking areas available for them now.
Oh, we're
But
working on that
at
also.
the train station and at ShopRite, but there's revenue
We're
we're
also
missing
working
out
on
on.
adding commuter parking.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's taken quite a few spots and looking to get more.
Right.
Yes.
So while we close off the streets to commuters, we're looking to, since we're gonna be displacing them, we're looking to give them somewhere to go.
That's great, and the reason they're parking there is because Westfield and Cranford
Oh,
have
yeah.
Right.
completely locked out anybody from parking to get on the train or the bus. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Step right up.
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, ladies and
Madison, welcome.
of the council. Willow Avenue. Now, the Open Space Trust Fund, I brought it up back in the budget meeting, and actually, I did do an Oprah, when was it? It was back in December, and I think Councilwoman Tedesco also has a copy, right? But anyway, so I was looking at the Oprah documents, and county question number 1, which was posed to the public to vote back in the year 2000, and I'm just gonna read the element about the historic preservation. It says, historic preservation of historic properties, structures, facilities, sites, areas, or objects in Union County, and the acquisition of such properties, structures, facilities, sites, areas, or objects in Union County for historical preservation purposes. I guess the key word here is talking about objects, and I could assume that, all our documentation of not only Garwood, but also all the other historic documentation in the other towns would fit under the term object. So I mean, there is a good possibility that the towns could ask the county, for some open space trust fund grant program for preservation of our historic documents.
Well, like I mentioned before, I did start to look into it, as you are absolutely correct. It does deal historically with structures, basically, but there's other areas I have to look into within the county. There, the records department itself, the county clerk and the surrogate, and all, they have records too, so I'm gonna reach out to them and see how they're doing their process.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that, about, the county does have their own resolutions for their own documents, and yes.
If we could piggyback on that, it'd be great.
Yeah, but the Open Space Trust Fund seems to be the perfect venue, and it's something, that the council should push, along with the other councils in the town, so there's a possibility, I mean, it's our money after all anyways.
Right. Give it back. Mr. Mayor, if I can ask Bruce a quick question, is there a matching grant for that?
Don't go there. But the matching, I don't know, I wasn't here for the budget meetings, but that's an interesting question as to what happened to that $20,000 in the Open Space Trust Fund matching. I guess, is that part of the, did you put the $20,000 matching monies in the budget?
Yes, we did, but then we actually scaled it back by 10 because it was being matched by some of the project money.
Oh, I mean, we're still in line getting $20,000 from the county.
From them, yes.
Through the Open Space
But
Trust.
our actual operating budget, only 10 is being raised there.
Alright.
The other 10's from the complex.
But because of the county, they're making us raise our taxes, that's the bottom line, right?
Oh, absolutely, it's bottom line.
Yeah, just like go on record there, county, if you're listening. I got more to say, but I'll wait. But, okay, and I do agree, and I'm, I've come in front of the mayor, council, it could be 15 years, but anyway, but I do want to see integrity in government and honesty in government, and our government officials to act appropriately, specifically for the public's interest. And I just want to make that statement. And I've been fairly satisfied with the local level. I mean, obviously the county level I have issues with. But anyway, but that's it, I just wanna see integrity, and I think we all do, and I think the public does also, so thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Go
with
ahead.
the open space and the historic component to that, I think one of the main issues that Tina brought to our attention was that the application that she gets to fill out doesn't mention it. So if we can do some digging specifically in that area,
Okay.
maybe we can get an answer.
Very good.
Thank
Well, I
you.
just want to comment that you're going to get a letter in your packet on Friday from the county about open space, and they capture in there what they're putting out this year. So
Okay,
it does say historic preservation, but it does say, I believe it does say, what you said, but it does say what they're going to offer you this year in the grant process. So you'll get that out Friday.
I also think there's a lot of other avenues that we could check into that might help us out. Anyone else? Anyone else, please? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn the workshop?
So moved.
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
If we can take to 8:20, I appreciate it, thank you.